This is a 3-inch Viswhoop, and this is the Viswhoop. It's a lightweight, DJI compatible model, and the perfect platform to demonstrate the Insta360 Go. While it can carry a Hero 8 like its big brother here, it's a little overweight. You want something lighter like the Session 5 or the Go. In this video, I'm going to compare footage between both cameras and get into all the features of the Insta360 Go. So I'm going to use RealSteady Go to stabilize the Session 5 footage, but it needs to be mounted on zip ties like this to get a decent result. Also, before we fly, let's protect these antennas in the back. Just a couple zip ties and some shrink tube should do the trick. The Session 5 and a 4S 550 mAh battery gives us an all-up weight of 278 grams. And for the sake of comparison, let's see what it weighs with the Hero 7. So here's our test rig. I just wrapped a zip tie around the Insta360 Go, and we want the Session 5 to wobble around like that because the gyro is really sensitive to motor noise. The all-up weight with both cameras is 296 grams. Now let's take it for a flight and see how these cameras compare. So what's neat about the Insta360 Go is all the stabilization is handled after you record in the app. So what I've done here is exported the same footage twice using both stabilization modes. The difference is flow state tries to maintain a fixed horizon, while FPV stabilization keeps the banks on the turns. It's more like RealSteady and Hypersmooth. You can see how the ducks move into frame a lot more with flow state because it does a lot more correction. Also, if you pay attention to the Session 5, you can see some jitters from time to time. This is because of the sensitive gyro. So even with my wobbly setup, it's still not perfect. The Hero 6 is much better at handling this, so that's why it's the preferred camera for RealSteady Go. In fact, that's the preferred camera for making a decased GoPro Lite, which would actually be a great camera for this if you're willing to put in the work. Now let's do a real quick microphone comparison. Here I put the GoPro Hero 7 on the Viswhoop just to see how it can handle the weight. It's not quite as agile and you do lose some flight time, but it does seem capable. The only caveat is that I used a small TPU wedge mount with a battery strap rather than a heavier, more protective GoPro mount. Here I used Hypersmooth stabilization on 4K wide mode, and let's listen to the audio. So I found this great little Insta360 Go mount that supports over 200 configurations. You can print from 0 to 45 degrees with every top plate screw distance from 22 millimeters to 35 millimeters. For the Viswhoop, I printed 24 millimeters at a 15-degree angle. And here it is. I really like the low profile camera mount, but you may want to print a higher angle to keep the props out of view. With a 4S 500 mAh battery, the quad weighs in at 208 grams. This is well under 250 grams, and it'll give you 5 minutes of stabilized footage. It'll actually fly longer than that, but the Insta360 Go has a 5-minute limit. So a really popular option right now is to pair a Beta 85X with a naked GoPro Hero 6. I'll actually be doing that next, but it's a lot of work. If you just want to get out there and fly, the Viswhoop with the Insta360 Go is much easier, but you only get 1080p footage at 25 frames per second. Now, the Insta360 Go actually records at 2720 by 2720, and here's what the raw footage looks like before you pass it through the Insta360 Go app. It's square, so you can export in portrait or landscape in 16 by 9 or 9 by 16, and you can export at 1 by 1 for your social media feeds. This is Insta360 Studio for desktop. But keep in mind that it does do this strange thing where you need to select 9 by 16 to export FPV stabilized or non-stabilized footage. It works fine with flow state, but what I like about it is you can export at a higher bitrate than the mobile app. I believe the mobile app always exports at 30 megabits per second, but the desktop app gives you the option to export at up to 200 megabits per second, but really the file is only about 100. Now let's take a look at the mobile app. The only way to get the footage off the camera is to use this little cradle. It has a built-in lightning plug, but it also comes with a USB-C adapter, so you can copy directly to your computer as well. Now, the mobile app has some pretty cool features. It does everything the desktop app can do, but it also has this keyframe feature. I like to use linear mode for this because it gives you a little more flexibility and better stabilization. So anytime you want to begin a camera move, you set a keyframe, then you move to where you'd like the animation to end and set the camera angle. It'll use the time given to complete the animation. You can do 360-degree rolls or do a 180 and fly upside down. I'm not sure how practical this is, but it's a pretty fun thing to play around with. You could probably even fake an entire freestyle session with this. In fact, I just did. Let's take a look at it. So one last thing I'd like to show you is a program called Video Enhanced AI by Topaz Labs. It uses AI to upscale video. It's really GPU intensive, so it took about an hour to process 40 seconds of footage on my GTX 180. My biggest problem with the Insta360 Go is it only exports at 1080p, so I thought I'd just give this a try. It introduced a lot of noise, so I did a little post-processing work to smooth it out, and have a look at the result. So I don't normally like to review RTF quads, but the Viswhoop really caught my eye because it's such a small, lightweight DJI model. It's not the greatest at freestyle, but it's perfect for cruising around in tight spaces. You can fly indoors or just about anywhere outside. Add the Insta360 Go, and it's really perfect for practicing cinematic shots. You can start here and work your way up to a GoPro Real Steady combo. What I really like about the combo is how casual it is to fly. You've got an HD feed, plenty of flight time, good range, and some decent cinematic footage. It's not the kind of footage you'd want to sell to a real estate agent, but it's just fine for Facebook or Instagram. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I put an awful lot of time into making this one, so please drop a like, maybe a comment, and definitely subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.